Had no need to fight tonight.
The 2021-2022 season previews continue today with the Arizona Coyotes. It's weird. It feels like it's been forever since I made a Coyotes video. And it is also weird because we're almost at the end of the previews, so it's weird saying a team with the A name. But anyways, the Arizona Coyotes had one of the most overloaded off seasons in the entire NHL this season, trading away so many of their core guys for a lot of draft picks, a lot of bad contracts, but they got some solid prospects in return as well. We're going to discuss that, their key arrivals, their key departures, look at their projected lineup, and ask the question, do they get Shane Wright? Because they're not making the playoffs. But anyways, if you guys are new to the channel, have not already subscribed, or you're an Arizona Coyotes fan, hey, there's not that many of you out there. I really would appreciate it if you did subscribe. We're getting really, really close to 1,000. And I mean, yeah, I won't waste any more of your time. Let's get into the preview. So last season for the Arizona Coyotes was kind of a mediocre season, in all honesty. It was good at points, and then it just went bad. So it really is a mix, honestly. They went 24, 26, and 6 for 54 points. They finished 22nd overall in the NHL, and they missed the playoffs. This was pretty much the deciding year for the Coyotes. If they were well and they made the playoffs, not by in the fourth spot, but they made it at least decent in the third spot, then Bill Armstrong was going to be like, okay, so then that way we'll convert this team into a team that can contend with the guys we have. Or if the team missed the playoffs or barely made it, that was where he would tear the whole thing down. And he chose to tear the whole thing down. And let's just say he did a pretty damn well good job at it, not coming from a Coyotes fan. Your key departures and your key arrivals list are some of the longest lists we've ever covered because they just exploded their roster. Exploded it. Their biggest departure, you could argue, was Oliver Ekman-Larsson, the captain of the Arizona Coyotes. He spent his entire career here. Of course, he's been traded away to the Vancouver Canucks in that Louis Eriksson trade. Goated. We obviously won that. They also lost Connor Garland in the same trade as well. The Garland thing really sucks with me because Garland said that he wanted to stick with the rebuild. But, the truth that really sucks is that Garland did not fit the Coyotes' timeline, unfortunately. I would have loved to keep Garland, but he really couldn't. And, I'll take Dylan Guenther over Connor Garland every day of the week. They also lost Darcy Kemper in a trade to the Colorado Avalanche, which was one of the very smart moves the Coyotes made. They took advantage of a Colorado Avalanche team that just lost Philip Grubauer to the Seattle Kraken. They got a first-round pick and a young defenseman and Connor Timmins out of him. That is a great trade. Then they also lost Antti Raanta to free agency. Of course, he's gone over and signed with the Carolina Hurricanes. That's painful. And then they also lost Adin Hill, which was also very painful because he was my favorite goalie. Admittedly, I liked him. I liked him more than any of those goalies we had. And of course, he's over with the San Jose Sharks now in that one trade where they didn't want to lose him to nothing in expansion, which is probably where he was going to go. So it is unfortunate, but had to happen. They also lost Christian Dvorak, another big thing they took advantage of. The Montreal Canadiens, where the Arizona Coyotes got back in return a first-round pick and a third-round pick, if I'm not mistaken. I don't even know anymore. We have picks for years. Literally. They also lost Lane Peterson in a trade with the San Jose Sharks where they traded his rights away. Peterson went over there and signed with the Sharks. I'll definitely miss him. I thought he was a young, hard-working player down in the Coyotes minor league system. And, I sent him a message saying farewell, and he messaged me back. So it's unfortunate, but, sometimes rebuilds have to happen. They also lost Alex Goligoski. I think he signed, or is he? No. Okay, I think they lost Goligoski. I think he went over and signed with the Minnesota Wild, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure. Everyone left. I have no idea where everyone is at this point. They lost Jordan Osterley. Of course, he went over and signed with the Detroit Red Wings. Solid defenseman. I think he definitely will be missed. I didn't think he played terrible. Then they lost the guy who I'll never forgive because he's right there in a picture frame. Michael Bunting, of course, he went over and signed with the Toronto Maple Leafs. He's looked pretty good in his time with Toronto, though, so I got to give him big credit with that. I think he's going to definitely get a big chance, a much bigger chance than he would have gotten with the Arizona Coyotes. They also lost Nicholas Hjalmarsson to retirement. I liked Hjalmarsson out of Chychrun and OEL. I thought Hjalmarsson was our third best, second best defenseman, you could argue. I thought he was pretty hardworking defensively, so it does suck to see him go. They lost Tyler Pitlick. He also got selected by the Seattle Kraken. Of course, he's obviously in Calgary now, which is kind of weird. They also lost Derek Brassard, which Derek Brassard went off to the Philadelphia Flyers. Probably going to play fourth, third line menace there, but he's obviously going to miss depth-wise. They lost John Hayden. He's gone over and signed with the what team was it? I think it was Buffalo, if I'm not mistaken. Then they also lost Jordan Gross, who went over and signed with the Colorado Avalanche. They lost Dryden Hunt, who went over and signed with the New York Rangers. And then finally, a guy that I even forgot to put on the list, which I'm just thinking of now, they lost Jason Demers, who is currently not signed by an NHL team right now. That is your entire departure list. The entire thing. The entire blue line is gone. The entire goaltending is gone. Almost over half of the offense has been reshaped. It's so weird. And generally, this is the team that I grew up watching. This is the team that I grew up rooting for when I started to become a Coyotes fan. So it really was a painful offseason seeing all these guys go. But you know what? When I look at the return we got, I'm pretty happy. Now, one thing I wanted to discuss regarding the Coyotes is all the draft picks that they've received. I wanted to discuss that the most because I think it is the most important out of all the key arrivals we got. The key arrivals, it's a lot of bad contracts. It's not really players that are really going to make an impact on this team. Besides maybe guys like Connor Timmins, maybe guys like Shane Gostisbehere, guys like that. But apart from that, they received a lot of draft picks. Let's look at this year's draft alone. They have 3 first-round picks. 3. In a very stacked upcoming draft. Unbelievable. They have 5, mind you, second-round picks in 2022 alone. That's not even including the years after that. And then, of course, they don't have any picks from other teams after that in that year's draft. In 2023, we have a third-round pick from the New York Islanders. Of course, it is conditional. I can't remember what the conditions are. And then, of course, they have a 7th-round pick from the Vancouver Canucks in that trade as well in 2023. And then in 2024, we have 2 second-round picks. Well, 3 technically, if you include ours. Then you have a third-round pick from Colorado, a 4th-round pick from San Jose, and that's all the picks we got. That is unbelievable. The thing is with John Chayka, Chayka traded away almost all of our picks. We lost so many draft picks, and it was crazy. And I mean, and I look at the core now, and I say well, it's pretty weak. But then I look at the picks, I'm like, oh my god, I've never seen so many draft picks in my entire tenure of being a hockey fan. Not just a Coyotes fan, a hockey fan. And that says something. So let's look at the key arrivals they got here via players. And there's actually a lot of them, but they're all very, very, very bad contracts. Most of them. They acquired Jay Beagle from the Vancouver Canucks. Travis Boyd from the Vancouver Canucks. They got Ryan Dzingel signed through free agency. They got Louis Eriksson through that Vancouver Canucks trade. They got Dmitry Askin, who is the Canucks KHL leading scorer, apparently, through free agency as well. They signed Andrew Ladd. They got him from the New York Islanders. They got Antoine Roussel from the Vancouver Canucks. They got Shane Gostisbehere from the Philadelphia Flyers. They got Anton Strawman from the Florida Panthers. They got Connor Timmins from the Colorado Avalanche. They got Carter Hutton from the Buffalo Sabres. They got Joseph Coronar from the San Jose Sharks, and they signed Alex Galchenyuk from Toronto to a pro tryout contract. That is your entire arrivals. I'm not even gonna put pictures there. I'm just gonna put my whole list because there is just so many. I'm gonna even be missing guys too. The amount of bad contracts this team has is astronomical. I don't even think teams like Buffalo have more bad contracts than we do at this point. And people are saying that, oh, these contracts are so bad. The Coyotes really screwed themselves over. We really freaking did it. Because I can tell you right now, the Beagle contract, the Boyd contract, the Eriksson one, the Dzingel one, not the Loud one, the Roussel one, the Coronar one, the Hutton one, and even the Galchenyuk one too, that is 8 contracts. And 5 of those are very bad. They're all going to expire after this season. So we're going to have all those picks and all those prospects, but none of the bad contracts we got back. So you just got Bill Armstrong. Moving on here into your projected lineup for your Arizona Coyotes. This video is very long, so I'm going to try and keep it very short. Starting off on the top 6, Clayton Keller, Nick Schmaltz, Phil Kessel, Christian Fischer, Ryan Dzingel, and Lawson Krause. That is your top six. I like guys like Keller, I like guys like Krause, Fisher. They're going to get really big chances on this lineup, obviously. As for the bottom six, as I said, I'm gonna keep this quick. You have Dmitry Askin, Jay Beagle, Louis Erickson, Antoine Roussel, Johan Larson, Travis Boyd, and then as for the fill-in guys, Ben McCartney, Liam Kirk, Jan Yannick, Liam O'Brien, and Alex Galchenyuk. The only guys that I see really making big impacts in there is the Askin thing. The Askin thing's interesting with me. If he can be good, I mean, he could be a part of this Coyotes' future, honestly. McCartney, Kirk, Yannick, and O'Brien, they all look very solid in the prospect games, so I think they definitely will make an impact on this roster. And I mean, the Galchenyuk thing is a no-risk move, so we'll see how that goes, honestly. It's honestly like, I don't even feel like I'm having to go really in-depth with this, because honestly, this team's lineup will change. Absolutely, because Phil Kessel wants out of Arizona. Schmaltz is probably going to want out. There's going to be guys that are going to get dealt out before you know it. So it's just going to keep changing. Then as for the defense, first pairing Chychrun, Timmins, Gostisbehere, Soderstrom, Bianco, Strawman, and then Ilya Lyubushkin as your filling guy there. So Timmins, solid young guy. Chychrun will be Chychrun, obviously. Soderstrom, very solid, up-and-coming kind of prospect, kind of rookie for this Coyotes roster. And then the rest of the guys, they're just there because their contracts are bad. As for the goaltending, you have probably the record-breaking worst tandem, honestly. Carter Hutton and Joseph Coronar, probably the worst tandem in the NHL. I don't think really anybody's coming close to that. Even Buffalo's, to be honest with you. I like Anderson. I like Dell. I think they're two solid goalies. I just don't think that Hutton's Swiss cheese. Coronar has never had a shot in the NHL. So, yeah, that's your Coyotes lineup. I'm not even going to go any more in depth with it. That's your lineup. So moving on into your final question here, facing this Arizona Coyotes team, do they get Shane Wright? And the answer is possibly. No, I can't imagine they make the playoffs is what I'm trying to ask here. No, there's no way. Not a chance after everything that they've dealt away. Absolutely. I don't think anybody has them in the playoffs. I don't have them in the playoffs. Nobody does. This is really the season where they tear it down. They rebuild. They let guys like Liam Kirk, Ben McCartney, they let them come into the lineup, give them a shot, and then we'll see when Gunther comes in. Well, then let's say the prospects we get from next year come in. We're really going to see this Coyotes team develop and become legitimate. So that's all I have to say for the Coyotes. They're not going to do good this season, so what's the point of really going in depth with it? Anyways, thank you all for watching. For us, I really, really do appreciate it. We have one more preview left, and that's the Anaheim Ducks. But anyways, thank you all for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Adios.